tonight is pertaining to a public hearing on the amendment bylaw 1428. And the purpose of this bylaw is to deal with marijuana sales and distribution within our community. And I'll just start the meeting off by saying what this is not. This is not a debate about the legality of marijuana in Canada, British Columbia. This is not reopening that Pandora's box. This is not sort of a moral argument of saying marijuana is a bad thing or a good thing. This is a situation which is kind of an interesting scenario. The federal government and the provincial government have hastily, or maybe not so hastily in this case, said they're going to allow distribution of recreational marijuana and medicinal marijuana in communities. But the province has not yet given municipalities, this province, some provinces are a little ahead of BC, but the province of British Columbia has not yet essentially outlined what municipalities are expected to do. And the province of British Columbia is going to be the one governing all of the elements of distribution of marijuana within the province. So the purpose of this bylaw essentially is to hold off on the staff starting any writing of bylaws, so on and so forth, dealing with the legality of it, until we know exactly what the province expects of us, because municipalities in British Columbia are a creature of the provincial government. We have to follow their regulations. So it would be unwise of us to move ahead on allowing sales of marijuana within our community until we know exactly what is expected of us by the province. All of you, I think most of you are probably taxpayers within our community. Taxes are a huge concern to most people. Keeping taxes at a reasonably affordable rate, and we're having a difficult time doing that, but we've kept it down to 2% a year, budget increase for 4 years, so I think we're doing a reasonable job. But this kind of a Pandora's box, if we do it the wrong way, would cost us a lot of money and end us cause us to end up in court. And any lawyer worth hiring is $400 to $500 an hour, so it doesn't take a lot of time to spend a lot of your money. So we want to make sure we do this right when it happens. We want to make sure that the province of British Columbia gives us their expectations of how this is to be done. And I know some communities, they choose to turn a blind eye to the legality of it, and they just let things happen. That's not old style. We don't want to put anyone in harm's way legally, and we want to do this right. So I'll just let those of you that have been to public hearings before are well acquainted with this procedure. I'll quickly read over the bylaw. Then there's a mandated chairperson statement, which I have to read. It's kind of long-winded, but it's a necessary part of the process. And then there's already been a couple of letters submitted, one by Ms. Renwick, and then we have a series of letters from Lonnie at the Trade House, which we'll make sure are entered into the record. And then everyone here, anyone and everyone, is welcome to stand up and say their piece pertaining to the bylaw. I would respectfully suggest we keep it related to this bylaw, though. I think you know why we're doing this and how we're doing this. So this is not a case of marijuana is bad for someone's health if they smoke a lot, yada, yada, yada. That's not this. The health effects of marijuana, not to be called into question tonight. That's not something we're going to be dealing with. We're just purely dealing with the bylaw that I will read out. And the bylaw is District of Vote Zoning Amendment Bylaw 1428/2018. The purpose of this bylaw is to prohibit the use in all zones, and this is the use or approval of any planning or business-related retail, sale or dispensing of cannabis, as well as the sale of cannabis-linked paraphernalia or byproducts. Example, edibles and infused liquids. So I'll read over the chairperson's statement, and then we can even get staff to quickly go into this. The chairperson's statement is as follows. This public hearing is being convened pursuant to the Community Charter in the Local Government Act. In accordance with the Charter, the time and place of the public hearing was advertised in 2 editions of the Hope Standard newspaper. In accordance with the District of Hope application procedure and public hearing information meeting procedure bylaw 1393, the Local Government Act, the required specifications have been complied with. At this public hearing, any persons who believe that their interest in the subject matter is affected by the proposed agenda item may speak or present written submissions to council on this matter. As chairperson, I will read any written briefs from persons unable to attend this public hearing so that they may become part of the record. Those who wish to speak should, when invited to speak, clearly state their name and address for the record. It is important that all who speak at this meeting restrict their remarks to the matters contained in the bylaw. No one will be or should feel discouraged or prevented from making his or her views known. Members of council may ask questions of those making presentations. The main function of council at the public hearing is to listen to the comments of the public, not to debate the merits of the bylaws. Members of council may debate any issues on the bylaws at the third or final reading. And the order of proceedings will be as follows. And so if staff has anything they would like to add before I read the two letters into the record.
I think you summarized very well, Your Worship, as far as the purpose of the amendment, and also reflects the resolution that council earlier made regarding the retail sale of cannabis within the district.
Okay. And I think another thing, those of you that have been to public hearings before recognize that this is the time for input to council, because from a legal perspective, we can't receive further submissions on this particular bylaw after this meeting. So it's important that I highlight the fact that that's the case. And so we have a couple of letters here. Maybe we'll start with Ms. Renwick's letter. And that was received by the district on July 2nd, 2018. And it says, subject submission on cannabis sales. And it says, P.S. Sorry I sent this to the wrong address, the last one, disregard, thank you. Okay. Ruth Renwick wrote, I use CBD oil for my joint pain. I want to access to that. Although I don't smoke pot, this does not have the THC, the ingredient that makes one high, in it, and that has been proven anecdotally to heal and give relief. Studies are being done now more than it's more accepted. That is more accepted. Please, I am against this bylaw and want the stores like Vape and Treehouse to be able to sell the CBD byproduct. That was written by Ms. Renwick, set July 2nd. And then Lonnie from the Treehouse, she had a number of folks, I think there were 90, 91.
That's what I have 55 for this.
Oh, add them to the mix, and that's good. And that's Lonnie, of course, is the owner of the local Treehouse health food store. And the letter that she sent to us is as follows. Dear Mayor Victor and City Councilors, I am writing this letter in support of Treehouse Health Foods becoming, first license. Sorry, I'm writing this letter in support of Treehouse Health Foods becoming Hope's first licensed dispensary, with the understanding that it will be run with the same high ethical, moral, aesthetic principles and standards by which Lonnie and Treehouse Health Foods has brought to the community for the last 23 years. I am therefore requesting the City of Hope change its bylaws to facilitate this once the use of cannabis is legalized by the provincial government. And certainly the promise I would make to Lonnie is that when the province decides exactly how this is going to be dealt with, we can start planning, and we'll certainly keep everyone apprised. It's obviously a topic that generates a lot of interest in the community. So once the province announces what they have planned, then we can bring it up at a regular council meeting, also, and if there's a necessity, have additional public meetings. So I'd like to call on anyone here that would like to speak to this bylaw. Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Rudolph Pushman, 740 3rd Avenue, Hope, BC. Mr. Worship, council members, and
You have a good voice, but if you can press that button there, that might even help a little further.
people can hear me. Okay.
Now you're on
Thank
stereo.
you. I just have a couple of things that I want to get clear. The town does not want to issue any licenses right now. I understand that. You don't even know what the rules and regulations are going to be. What is that building just past line J on the right-hand side? The concrete structure. I know what it is. It's Canna Farms. I can order online any product I want. What's the difference with Lonnie in town opening up a dispensary? That part I don't understand. I need you to clarify.
Well, and I think, obviously, I'm not a clear communicator tonight, but the regulations that the British Columbia government will impose on us have not been decided yet. Like, will they make sure that all dispensaries have to be outside of a certain perimeter of a school? Who knows? That's been discussed by staff. Will they say that dispensaries will have to have inspections annually?
Okay.
Or
But who gave them the license to operate?
what's that?
Who gave them the license to operate? They are a federally.
They do not,
recognized.
they grow, they're a medical marijuana licensed grow-up. They are not a local dispensary. Like, you can't knock on their door and say, I'd like to buy
Okay.
X number of grams of marijuana.
Okay, but you can still buy from them. I can order anytime.
Correct. And we're not suggesting you can't do that. We're not. We're
They're
not.
operating legally
Yes.
within federal guidelines.
Yes.
Why can't Lonnie do that? Now, get her to do it now before, no, I don't want to hurt any feelings, before the natives get up and running. Then the town of Hope is going to be hooped. Anyway,
Your worship, if I can, that particular production facility is a Health Canada licensed facility to provide medical marijuana. It does not provide currently mail order recreational marijuana or recreational cannabis.
yeah, no, that's
This is,
right.
and of course, what council and this bylaw addresses is a different scenario.
Okay. I have a license to grow. I have a license to consume. I've been licensed by the federal government. But I have to buy online. I can't buy locally. You know what I'm saying? $200 I've spent, in the last 5-6 months. So it's not a big expenditure, but it is money that is flying up, being utilized by somebody else. You know? I'm just saying that there's a place in place that is selling medical marijuana, and that's what she wants to start with. Legally, by the federal government. Who cares what the provincial government thinks? If the federal government allows it, let's jump in.
Unfortunately, we have to carry with the provincial government because every regulation that we're governed by the provincial government on everything that we do.
But that
Community charter,
brought around-
provincial regulation. So if we thumb our nose at the province, they're the ones with the deep pockets. So if we do something which violates the legality of something they implement, that's a battle we're not going to win. So the whole issue is the province will unveil what they want to do within the next few months. It's not a long wait. It's probably till the middle to end of October, hopefully, maybe sooner. I don't think it'll be sooner because they certainly haven't announced it's going to be sooner.
Yeah, I just hope nobody else starts up and gets the foothold that is required to get people through the door. But like you say, you can't operate a door service. It has to be online. Can you operate an online service?
I could.
Well, one at a time here. It's a public hearing, so did you make your point?
Yeah, I should be part of the public. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made my point. I was wondering why there's an operation running wild, making lots of money, and we can't do anything. That's all. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, additional comments from the public?
Hello, my name is Avery Coates, 460 Wallace Street. I'm co-owner of Jack's Vapor Shop. I didn't know what the exact parameters were according to this meeting, so I did end up writing something up that I want to share with you guys. Most of it does pertain to the meeting, some of it does not. I still like to share it all. To the other public member that pays taxes here as well. Cannabis Farms is growing medicinal. Anybody can buy medicinal marijuana online. Okay, you guys are forgetting, all it takes is a driver's license online, and we can simply purchase anything and everything that they say is available, which is unfortunate, because I feel, is this on or can everybody hear me? I'm sorry, because some knowledge is rampant, while a lot of propaganda is being believed. Now, in regards to members of the public that have come into our store, they have requested that we speak partially on behalf of them. A lot of them don't like to be stereotyped. A lot of them don't like public settings. So if it's all right, I would like to read what I prepared.
For sure.
Thank you.
And you can give us your written copy, or we can give it to staff.
I can photocopy it for you by all means, yeah.
Okay.
So good evening, council, ladies and gentlemen of the District of Hope residents. Hello, once again, I'm Avery Coates, co-owner of Stratus Vapor Shop in Hope, BC. I come before you today to address Section 466 of the Local Government Act on Bylaw 1428. On behalf of our business, my family, our customers, and scores of residents to the District of Hope who are not affiliated with us, but who came to us and expressed interest in us speaking on their behalf, I am here today. The BC government has expressed that there will be no cap on the number of licenses issued, but local government will have veto power, which is, quote, the authority to make local decisions based on the needs of their communities. Well, council members, your community is talking and asking, and some begging to allow medicinal facilities to be in Hope District, so medicine is able to be purchased locally without hassle and no delay. Is this district open and willing to not accept any money raised off cannabis sales in the province? Mail order and online sales, as well as traveling to purchase with budgets, these timelines create lack of medicine at necessary times. Local facilities will not impede upon procuring individuals' medicine. Illness is like living two lives. One is where you pretend that everything is okay, and the other is where your mind, body, and heart silently scream in pain. Every single day since we opened, we've had multiple people from every walk of society come in asking if we have any products or if we are a dispensary. Of these individuals, 75% are middle-aged or retirement age. It is completely heart-shattering to see suffering individuals' expressions as we inform them that the District of Hope, I'm sorry, I got a cold, will not allow marijuana sales of any kind. We have shared tears both on our own and with them at this travesty. In an extreme shorthand version, each mammal, thus human beings here, have an internal ECS system, an endocannabinoid system. This is our body's and brain's way of receiving and translating signals it receives within our system. These cannabinoid receptors, proteins, are expressed throughout the mammalian central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. The ECS is involved in regulating a variety of physiological and cognitive processes, from appetite to immune system functions and pain management, just to mention a couple. The list goes on and on. Different parts and in different strengths of cannabis can help alleviate symptoms, correct deficiencies, manage pain, heal cognitive functioning as well, etc., etc. This plant is not only about getting high. Oxycontin kills more people than heroin and cocaine combined, yet it's approved for prescription. Cannabis has killed 0 people, and here we are asking for facilities for medicine. Yet cannabis has been proven to help with addictions and abuse of opioids. Need we even mention fentanyl? Pharmaceutical prescriptions can and do have negative impacts on your mind and body when taken long term. Not to mention extra medications needed for side effects from the original prescription. Meanwhile, cannabis extracts have been proven that they do not have any negative side effects, and it has been proven it can also heal some damages done by prescription drugs. Some prescription drugs are your true gateway drugs. Currently, we have local individuals who must travel as far as Abbotsford and Vancouver to get the appropriate concentration of medicine they need right now because there is no local medicinal facility. This means long hours on the road while already exhausted from illness. This in itself puts every other vehicle on the road in potential harm just because of exhaustion. If a simple cold can affect us to the point of exhaustion and increased irritability, just try to imagine a cancer patient, an individual with ALS, a person with Parkinson's disease, another with MS. This is just a few, not to mention high anxiety or PTSD or dozens of other illnesses that are traveling exhausted, irritated, and sick, some daily, weekly, and even monthly. To say no to local medicinal facilities in which to get legal, untainted, non-synthetic cannabis products is potentially putting each and every individual who is already suffering from illness into harm's way. Therefore, as well as every other member in society, simply because of interaction and roadways. So I ask, are you council members today going to pass along a little spark of humanity, or are you council members going to pass on this opportunity and leave the world a little bit colder and unsafe in the process? It has been stated by council members recently, as in tonight, that you individuals want to wait and see what others are going to do. If the reason we are waiting to make a decision is simply so that we can copy or follow suit with a majority and in the process offend the least amount of people, what is the point? We should be able to make our own decisions for our area. Your contingents have repeatedly expressed what they want. Do not just plug your ears and wait for someone else to make the decision for us. They aren't us and this district. Evidence on how to go about it has been in multiple states in the US and in some other countries as well. The evidence is there. I'm not trying to claim that is what's happening. I'm asking, why are you waiting? We have all of the evidence and testimony right now. It's time to decide. There is no point in discussing any topics with someone or individuals who do not have an open mind. Individuals with closed-minded mentality will never look at all the variables being presented, just the ones that benefit them. A wise man once said, every society is judged by how it treats its own that are suffering amongst them. Thank you for listening. Now, I'm sorry that was a little off topic. Like I said, I didn't know what the parameters were. But the gist of what people are coming into our store and asking us and expressing time and time again is majority of what is exactly written here. It's their part and pieces and their livelihood that comes to us. And I don't know how you guys cannot have empathy in regards to other people that are suffering. But I know that my wife, myself, my two sons have broken down repeatedly simply because decisions won't be made. The parameters by the government have been put forth in the aspect of distances from schools, buildings, sole businesses, unattached, mini malls and whatever else. Like, they have an outline. They have the security limitations. It's all there, it's in black and white. If I as a public servant can get this information, why can't you guys as our council member step up and actually look for what the evidence actually is? Because all you're doing is waiting. While you're waiting, as my fellow public servant said, we're gonna lose. Not only are we going to lose the simple fact of the monetary value, which everybody in this area just seems so adamant about, but let's actually look at the people we're going to lose. How many people are suffering with high cancer cell counts right now? This is medicine that attacks, eliminates all of these cancer cells. If you use the right amount of each product, it can shrink tumors. It's been proven. All you're doing is handcuffing us so that we have to order who knows what offline from who knows where. It's not always in every city. It's not described in a sense that everybody knows what they're getting. You need people, you need facilities that have the knowledge base to be able to have whatever proportions they need to be able to help them in their own ECS. I'm sorry if I get emotional, but for us, it's very emotional. Because every single day, we have to deal with saying no to people. Every single day, our heart breaks because we see these people hitting the highways, 2 and 3 in a vehicle because they can't afford to go get their own medicine. If you have any questions, feel free to answer anything.
I appreciate your points, Mr. Coates. And just to broach a topic that you brought up there, I think you called into question the empathy and the open-mindedness of council. And I have to say that I've worked with this group for almost 4 years, and they've always shown empathy and they've always had an open mind. So to ignore that comment without responding to it would be inappropriate for me. And I just say, you know, they do have an open mind. They do care about the community. That's why they're here. That's why they're taking time away from other activities. And
so are all of us.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, the reality is you cannot say that council isn't empathetic to the interests of the community. This is something that has to be done once and has to be done right.
I'm not disputing that, but the evidence is there and the parameters are
We're
there.
not talking about evidence. We're talking about mandated provincial legal regulations that will be essentially pressed on us when they're decided upon by the process.
Is there not guidelines right now from the BC government on what they would like for a facility?
What they want is yet to be decided. It's I think the feds took a little longer than anticipated, so the province is able to line the 8 ball.
So you're going to put us further behind the 8 ball by looking at what the federal government has mandated as the least that they will accept as a dispensary, a medicinal dispensary?
Well, the wait time is not very long, and as you correctly pointed out, there's medical marijuana available online.
Yeah, but you don't know what you're getting. And you guys are willing to accept the fact that anybody can go purchase online. But what you're failing to understand is there's no communication between individuals in regards to illnesses specifically. Do they need a higher CBD? Do they need a lower THC? Do they need a higher THC, lower CBD? This is where a local facility would be able to help them to know the difference between a sativa and an indica. Do they even need to have THC? It could be a simple hemp plant, right? The local dispensary would have that knowledge, if given the permission, to work among the federally mandated guidelines. The building, the bars in the window, the floor safe, X amount to wait, it's there. You guys are choosing to wait for the BC government to give the same mandate that the federal government's already given. If you guys don't start the process and start it before it's too late, once again, everybody is losing. Not just the tables, not just us, the ones that are too sick to come to meetings. They're the ones that are going to lose.
Thank you, Mr. Coates. Brought up some good points. I think we have quite a few other folks here that would like to speak, so.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, appreciate your time. Additional presenters?
Hi, my name is Lonnie Warren. I do own Treehouse Health Foods here in Hope and have for 11 years. I am a resident of Silver Creek, 63849 Valley Crescent, and have been for just over 20 years. This bylaw is of particular interest to me because I would love to become Hope's first legal dispensary. I have hundreds of customers that wish to purchase CBD or CBD THC blends for medical purposes such as cancer, sleep, pain, and nausea. It would be much more practical, convenient, and safe for them to be able to buy from a legal local dispensary that they trust within the district in downtown Hope. I have already submitted 90 signed letters to council at a previous meeting, and I have another 55 to submit tonight.
Not gonna do any good.
Please let the record show that a total of 145 letters have been submitted from the residents of this district who are in favor of Treehouse Health Foods becoming Hope's first legal dispensary. The issue needing to be fully addressed tonight is whether or not bylaw 1428 is one the community truly desires. As stated in the notice of the public hearing, the purpose of bylaw 1428 is to prohibit the use or approval of any planning or business-related retail sale or dispensing of cannabis. Prohibit is a very strong word, and it literally means to forbid. Every day I'm sending customers away from my business empty-handed, as many either already use or wish to use CBD or CBD THC blends for themselves, their family members, or their pets, for the multiple uses that I've already mentioned, and more, that have absolutely nothing to do with getting high. As of October 17th, 2018, cannabis is completely legal for whatever use an individual of this community chooses to use it for. As of this date, people have the right, absolutely have the right to convenient and safe access to cannabis at a dispensary within this district, just as they have convenient and safe access to alcohol or pharmaceuticals. Bylaw 1428 is a complete roadblock for me as a business owner in trying to provide this for our community. An example of a bylaw that would not create a roadblock might be: no application will be considered, reviewed, or issued for any business license related to the retail sale or dispensing of cannabis, cannabis-linked paraphernalia, or byproducts in the District of Hope until the use of cannabis is legal, which we know is October 17th of this year, and bylaws have been developed and enacted within the District of Hope to govern the expectations and operation of such a business. Ultimately, while accomplishing the same result, bylaw 1428 put forth by mayor and council, and my example bylaw say something quite different. The one being presented for public hearing tonight says no to the distribution of cannabis in Hope and creates a repeal process for a business owner such as myself. It says that mayor and council have decided to choose for the entire town whether or not they, the community, us, residents, are allowed to have a dispensary in our town. Comparatively, the example I have presented here tonight does not create a repeal process and says yes, but not until mayor and council have the time needed to do the due diligence to have such a business in town. These are very different messages, and I can see a very different response coming from the community on social media and also on the election ballots in October. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joe Russo. I live at 631 Yale Street.
You can even use the mic if you would like.
Turn that one off.
I'm not opposed to the use of marijuana and stuff like that, but what I am opposed to, and I've beaten a trail to different corners of this community, is grow-ops in my residential area. I'm allergic to this stuff. I've got friends that smoke dope, and they use it lots, all the time. I don't have a problem with that. But what I have a problem with is the stench that permeates my home, my furniture, my clothing. And that's all I want to say about this. And just be very careful where this goes. A dispensary, I don't want my tax dollars going to feed this. You know, I worked long and hard for the money that I have and the home that I live in. I don't need to pay for something that disrupts my life. I just come back from 2 weeks of being out of my home because I can't stand the smell of my furniture. Anyways, it's a little bit off whether dispensary or what all this is about, but I'm opposed to my money being spent on regulating this stuff with, as far as marijuana goes in the community.
Thank you, sir. Additional comments?
Yeah.
Ma'am?
My name is Sandy Rennis. I am
If you'd like to
for
approach the mic, that'd be
Stratus
great.
Vapor Shop as well. My name is Sandy Rennis, and I am co-owner at Stratus Vapor Shop as well. I just want to clarify to the gentleman that money from dispensaries goes towards things like road repairs in the community. It goes towards fixing and improving parks. It goes towards fixing things or towards our local government, the taxes made off of it, go towards our local needs and necessities, infrastructure, etc. It's not the reverse as what you said. I just wanted to clarify that the taxes, any taxes made from such business, whether it's ourselves, whether it's the health food store or somebody else, they will be taxed. They will be taxed harshly, I would venture to guess. And those taxes benefit everybody. We need to approach it with an open mind, because the only way that our district is going to benefit is if we approach it with an open mind. That's all I wanted to say.
How do I live with it?
I think we have a few additional folks here that like to speak, so. Sir?
Hello, my name is Adam Carmichael. I live at 3353 Wascana Street in Victoria, BC. I'm here as a business stakeholder. I wanted to just start off by saying thank you very much to the mayor, council, and staff, and the public for coming out. This is a really important topic, and you can tell that everyone cares a lot about it. I'm here representing Trees Island Grown, which is a cannabis retail chain based on Vancouver Island. We are a rapidly growing chain. We currently have 3 licensed retail storefronts in Victoria, 1 undergoing rezoning right now, and 1 with a public hearing on our rezoning on August 2nd. In the process of doing this, we have worked as a collaborative partner with the municipality in developing their regulations around storefront dispensaries, which under the new legislation, the federal Bill C-45 and Bill 30 provincially will not be allowed to be called a dispensary, but it can be a cannabis retailer. So what I've come here to say is basically I'm hoping to share a little bit of insight with everyone here, and I can tell that you folks are taking a cautionary approach because municipalities are all getting the same legal advice that if you do not shut this down now and have something on the books, potentially anything that is zoned retail would be open for business or cannabis retail. Now, when you say that there isn't guidance from the province, I would point to the retail guide put out by the province a while ago, a couple months ago even. In that document, they publicly state that the province will not be imposing any distance restrictions from schools or daycares or anything like that, but that it's within the power of municipalities to create zoning bylaws to that effect. So I think you can just look at examples of best practices that are out there of existing municipalities, and people have done different things across the board. Right now, you know, Victoria has a 200-meter buffer from schools for retail. They also have a 400-meter distance, an anti-clustering distance. It started as 200, and they decided that caused too much clustering of retail, moved it to 400. Langford, on the other hand, has taken a really interesting approach. Some see it as quite controversial. They have basically opened up an application process for a pilot project for temporary use permits for cannabis retail. What they are basically asking is, show us the money. They want to know how a cannabis retail operation is going to support enforcement efforts at the municipal level, how they are going to pay for education campaigns around cannabis and drug abuse issues, and they want to know what are your security measures, what else are you going to do for the community. So that is always an option when you do decide to open up to cannabis retail, is to have that type of application process where council can vet who is going to bring the most benefit to our community. There's also Tofino, for example. Their planner is working on their zoning right now. They are doing 1,000 meters between retail. They're also requiring input from 2 local First Nations on the process. And they look to be going towards a temporary use permit model as well. Now, I want to talk a little bit about how this impacts me as a business stakeholder, as a representative of Trees Island Grown. I just want to say that I can tell that there are a lot of awesome people in this community that are already on this, and it may be that in a community as small as Hope, there isn't a place for trees here, but I also hope that potentially we could share. That would be something to see down the line, whether or not this community could actually support more than one retail location. But I do want to say that what we've learned is that you cannot be a successful business without the support of your neighbors. And so when we go to open up a retail spot, we go around and put boots on the ground talking to neighbors to see what their concerns are. We have an in-depth security plan with robbery prevention training for all of our employees, program that ensures that 2 employees are always on staff at the same time. We have visual monitoring that is recorded and saved for 30 days, and we have double carbon air filtration to prevent any nuisance odors from escaping to the street front. So those are the type of things that I think most good operators at a minimum will bring to your community. And I really hope that this is a temporary prohibition that you're talking about here. And I also hope that as you move forward with planning and rezoning, that you keep all your residents that are interested in opening retail and others like myself apprised of developments as they go along, so that everyone can have a fair application process moving forward. One final point that I'd like to make is that my company, Trees, really cares about small-scale craft cannabis producers. We think that's the best way of supporting local economies. And to that end, we've built relationships with small-scale farmers. Now, as we move forward with federal legalization, these small-scale producers will have to apply for microcultivator licenses. Those batch sizes of cannabis produced under microcultivator license are not going to be of much interest to the government-run BC cannabis stores, simply because they will not be able to have a distribution across the province. As you see with liquor sales right now, many small batch craft breweries do not find any representation in the BC liquor stores. You have to go to a private retailer to find them. I think that it is the best bang for your buck for local economies to ensure that those small-scale local producers are on the shelf of retail stores. So I would hope that as you move forward, you give deep consideration to allowing fair competition from private retailers as well as public. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Carmichael. Sir, additional comments?
Mayor Richard, councilors. Okay, I find myself in an awkward situation of supporting something that I don't use. However, it's been very well articulated by our commercial entities in town, as well as representing one. However, the recreational has been overlooked. And what I want to address is the potential for a retail outlet to have control over substance. I can go within 100 meters of anywhere here and get marijuana. Hope, especially over the last 60 years, has been a crossroads of drug use, if you will. So what I'd suggest for a retail outlet, for recreational, is having that control over substance where they don't have the fentanyl addition or the other byproducts that your backyard grower or Okanagan grower would have is in the back 40. So I just thought I'd add that little piece to the fray. Thanks. Sorry?
Full name and address?
Corey Lawton, 580 Douglas Street.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blunt. You had some agreement, or you didn't stir the pot?
I did.
Okay.
I'm next.
Ms. Hines?
Yes.
Address, please.
517 Fraser Avenue, Charlene Harrison Heights. One of my teacher voices allowed. Does everybody in here realize why the federal government has legalized it or is going to on October 17th? Do you know why?
Many reasons.
Okay. Do you know why?
Taxation.
To take it out of the hands of organized crime. Do you know who owns the biggest grow ops? Hell's Angels. And like Corey said, you can go within 100 meters and score some weed. And Hope doesn't make any tax money off of that. The provincial government doesn't make any tax money off of that. I just don't understand why you want to prohibit it. I think that Lonnie spoke very eloquently. Wait and see, instead of having to pedal backwards, because once you've done that, it's going to be difficult to undo it. I take CBD with. I had to wait 6 months for a prescription, and I order mine from Can Farms. And believe me, they make money. It's very convenient in a way, okay, but because the federal government oversees it, now they are out of what I take. So, if we had a dispensary here, or if I could buy it, that would make me very happy. That would make my body hurt a whole lot less. My point is, recreational, dispensary, let's stop demonizing it. Let's stop stigmatizing it. We know how well that worked out for liquor when they had prohibition. They realized all the money that they lost, and so they made it legal again. And honestly, I have never seen so much marijuana available wherever I've lived as there is here. But it's all illegal, and I can tell you this, that most of the people who feel are in their boots with this about to happen. I agree with what Lonnie said. I think you should just wait and see. The word prohibition, prohibit, doesn't set well with me. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Additional comments?
I'm Dave Mercer. I'm 66017 Believe it or not, I'm see, prohibition is just insane, like the money we waste on it and all that stuff. The lives it brings, giving people criminal records for something that's not very harmful at all. So for me, I'm basically a voter here, and I'm interested in what council's position is. So when I read that, like federally, I voted for the Liberals last time. The only reason why is because they said they're going to legalize it. They guaranteed it, and that's the only issue I care about, because it's the same to have it legal. So when I read that bylaw that came out, it's like what's been said, prohibited. No chance. But I watched the meeting minutes and I see some positive progressive comments from the council that are like, well, we just need to sort it out. And I totally understand that. But as it's still written, and anybody else who reads that as a voter, they're going to see, oh, we're going to ban it. We're not for this, right? So I think you have to be very careful with that language. I always wonder if councils kind of play it politically well. We're not going to really commit one way or another. We'll say this, but we're writing that. But, you know, as a voter, I want to see what's your real position on this. So, like, if the bylaw is just amended to say, you know what, until it's legal, we're going to prohibit it. But once it's legal, we will allow it to be anything, right? Like, we just need 2 weeks or a month or whatever it is to get the framework, right? And that's my main point. I just wanted council stance on this because this is actually it's like the man just waiting at the very end after we know they're all finally legalized and saying, no, we're not going to have this. It's just people like me that come along. It's just, I'd like to see better bylaw for what we are. That's what this is about. Okay, thank you.
Additional comments?
Hi, my name is Allie LeMay, 63005 Field Roads. I'm a production worker at Cat Farms down in Silver Creek. There are many places in Hope to get pot, a lot not safe. Honestly, online is probably one of the safest places you could get. You have to go through the doctors, get a green card, your prescription, and that way you get it online. I would love to see a dispensary here open up that LPs, licensed producers like Canna Farms, like other ones, wholesale to sell pesticide-free, fentanyl-free, laced-free weed, cannabis, to help out all the people who are suffering. At Canna Farms, we're only one place. We grow so much that we can. We do run out of stuff, and it was heartbreaking for us to see people who are hurting. For a dispensary to open up in town that sells medicinal, not just recreational stuff, but medicinal stuff people need, it'd be a beautiful thing to see, and I would love to put my money towards that, my tax-paying dollars towards that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. If someone could shut that mic off, please.
Hi, I'm Kevin Renier, 66176 Colorado Lake Road. I've been a long-term resident of over 25 years. I've also been in the medical field, worked with quadriplegics. I've seen some of my clients go without food to access medicine. In other words, use their bare last dollar to get the gas and to get to it, and actually be carried to get to it. That's how important it is. I'm also a producer of the productions at Canna Farms, and I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I've seen the legals and I've seen the illegals. And I've also been a worker at our local hospital. And I gotta say, we have access to something that's already been approved by our community to be growing in our community, which does have not just what we think might be CBD or what we think might be THC, but a scientifically proven, qualified percentage of exactly what we know what you're getting. And we gotta remember here, folks, we're pioneers. We've never been here before. We've all been hiding out, feeling shame because of a product that we use that has brought a lot of healing to many bodies. So I am against prohibition of it, and whether we like it or not, it's going forward. I would love to see Hope as a pilot, as people that say, hey, we've heard our community speak. however we get it out there, we have access to it already being ready, so Lonnie, Canna Farms, you know what I mean? And we, as a community, we're not just community, we're family. We see each other's faces every day. We may not remember the name, but we gotta remember that together we can make changes. So I'm for it, and I put my neck on the line. I've been persecuted, I've been judged, but let me tell you, as a survivor of PTSD, I am a user of it, and I'm willing to take my judgment, because you know what? I'm willing to bear the burden of my reality, whoever it may be, and I'm grateful to be able to access online, clean, licensed, scientifically proven, not tainted, not supporting our local, whatever bad boys, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, change is happening, whether we like it or not. The surf is coming, and I say that's right.
Thank you very much. Additional comments? I don't want to cut anyone off here, so this is a speak now or forever hold your peace kind of scenario.
When are you all gonna vote on this?
Be next Monday.
Next Monday?
Yeah.
Hey, what happens when you vote? Say you vote no. Please don't, but say do. What happens after that? Like, is it set in stone? Like, what happens?
No, it can be repealed and modified, obviously, and I think the suggestion that Ms. Warren from the Treehouse passed on actually is very similar to the approach we're taking anyways, because we recognize this is not a permanent decision, but we need more information to make healthy decisions. So maybe the wording isn't pleasing to some, but the intent's exactly the same.
No. But is it a long process once you lay down the bylaws?
It all depends, essentially it all depends how complicated the province makes it for us. And they'll probably want their pound of flesh there somehow too. So.
Why not wait until after October 17th?
Yeah.
If harms nothing.
No, but I mean, it's essentially the prohibition's on right now.
Till October 17th.
Yeah, why don't you get a bylaw that you're prohibiting something? I mean, you should just wait till October.
So waiting until the province actually makes its recommendation.
Well, I think one of the things that council has to do too is that a lot of thought has to be put into this, because there were a lot of valuable points brought up tonight as far as, you know, do we want 30 marijuana dispensaries in town? Is that a good thing for our community? Do we want 2? Do we want a 500-meter setback or a 1,000-meter setback between dispensaries like, I think it was Mr. Carmichael, where was the?
Tofino is the largest, the biggest I've seen at a
So 1,000-meter, obviously that would be perceived as disrespectful between the Treehouse and the vape shop. So there's someone who get a license, someone wouldn't. So we, down the road, we have to be very cautious how we do this so that we're fair to everyone. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, we don't pick and choose when it comes to pizza places. Open.
You're gonna laugh at a Councilor Stewart because she's doing pizza.
Yeah. So he said too, right?
Yeah.
When is the election for the district?
End of October. Yeah, it's all, in all of BC, it's exactly the same time.
So say you guys lay down the bylaw, this isn't happening, we throw you guys out. How long would it take? I'm joking, but how long would it take them, if the next council came in, they have to revote and?
Yeah, it's the same process. This council, new council, it's a fairly speedy process, so it's not.
Speedy?
Yeah.
Speedy compared to federal government, right?
So the other thing I want to bring up is there's been a lot of talk about the election and sort of the underlying current is if you don't kind of do things our way or gonzo, or there might be some there might be some results at the polls that might be displeasing to you. I can say with certainty that there has not been one decision that any member of council has ever made that has pleased everyone involved. We have almost 6,500 people in our community, that even what we feel is the most amazing decision irritates someone. So I'm not being glib, I'm not being disrespectful to those comments, but if council governs their day-to-day decisions on one person saying, if you don't do what I say, you're gonzo in the fall. You know, we can't do that. We have to respect everyone's opinion, that we do, and I know I sit with 6 other people that very much do that. But we can't use that as a guideline in our decision making, because if we did that, we wouldn't make a decision in 4 years, because every decision affects something.
But we do need to progress, right? And we
Absolutely.
do need tax dollars, so.
Yeah. No, understood. Valid points were brought up tonight, for sure. Yeah. Councilor Miller?
Thank you. I was wondering if I can ask our staff a question, procedurally, I suppose. What is the process if we wanted to change the wording in this particular bylaw? Like, I know it would require another public hearing.
We changed. The way it works is if we change the bylaw was advertised word for word like we're discussing it tonight. So we can't get artistic on the details of the wording, because if we do, then it essentially negates the consultation process. Because if we change the wording tonight and vote on it next Monday, then there will be people out there that may have objections to the new wording when they didn't have objections to this wording, or vice versa. So we have to be to a T accurate on the wording of the bylaw.
So, and that's
the exact point is I'm not comfortable with the wording of the bylaw. So if I would like to see that changed, I would have to make a motion, and I would have to go forward to another public hearing and then carry on from there.
It'll be very speedy.
Procedurally, council can repeal the second reading and give a new second reading as amended if they choose to change the wording. Then we still go back to public consultation and have another public hearing like this, presenting the new wording. If council so chooses that out.
Yeah. But we'd be back to a public consultation.
Yeah, we would re-advertise like we did this past one, had another public consultation just like tonight, presenting the new wording and council chooses for different wording.
So in other words, you've handcuffed everybody by that word. Now we can't change it.
Well, we can change it when we get more information from the province. It's a very simple process. When we find out from the province exactly what their expectations are of our communities, then we can write regulations to.
One word, prohibit. To get that out, it's a long process now again.
No, it's not a long process. Not at all. Bylaws take the exact same amount of time to create. Doesn't matter what the wording is.
Well, it matters.
It's a mandated process.
Yeah.
And
But
it doesn't matter what the wording is of the bylaw. It takes the same amount of time.
And how long would that
The
take
prohibition is
to
not
change the wording? A week?
What is the 3 meeting? Essentially, it's a 3-meeting scenario, so it chooses out.
So if council had wording that they want on Monday night, they can repeal second reading and give a new second reading as amended. We still have to advertise in 2 issues of the newspaper, hold another public hearing. Then it would go back to council for third reading. It would then go to highways for approval and back to council for
So we
adoption.
might as well wait for October 17th, because that's gonna come sooner.
Time and energy spent on that, it'll be October.
What's the hurry to pass this bylaw?
Well, we just thought there's ambiguity in what the district is doing at this point. A lot of people have asked us about starting, a dispensary, and there's the people represented here tonight, I think, are all reputable business people. But I assure you that some of the people that approached me were not reputable business people. That is for sure. So my concern as mayor is to make sure is if we have people in our community which have the financial resources to start a dispensary, but don't have the moral fabric to do it properly and do it responsibly, like the people here tonight, that we have the tools to properly shut them down, so that the people that are being respectful of the public can continue operating, and that the people that are not, as business people, are shut down. So we just need the proper tools.
How come if nobody from council has come to speak to us at our shop about our understanding or our knowledge base? Same with Lonnie, nobody, has anybody come and spoke to either of us as far as floor safes could be a requirement, bars on windows and doors could be a requirement for owning a dispensary or running a dispensary? Standalone business is another item that I've heard. I mean, there's several things that we are enlightened to and have been in this business and have researched, studied, learned everything that we need to for all aspects of this. We were in business before moving to Hope, I want you guys to know as well, for many years. Lonnie as well would have a lot of knowledge. The basic knowledge that I'm finding there's a discrepancy about tonight, CBD is not the same as marijuana. It is not from the same plant. It is a hemp plant. As a matter of fact, your poppy seeds in your muffins are more detrimental and will give you a false positive testing more likely than CBD. And so that is a huge misconception right now. And CBD is legal in the federal government. We do carry it in our store. I will continue to carry it. You can try and shut me down. I know my rights and I will fight it. I know that we carry a brand that has 0 THC, federally approved, federally certified. We have all the documentation and T's and I's crossed and dotted so that we can carry that. Lonnie would like to carry the same thing, I would assume, maybe a different brand for our clients. And I'm not going to go into great discussion about who our clients are, but I can tell you there are senior members in City Hall, there are senior members on the fire department that are all taking CBD, and it is helping them. And it is being compiled into the same group. If you're going to get rid of CBD, you need to get rid of hemp shoes, hemp soap, hemp things at grocery stores, including food products. You cannot have a double standard all the way across the board like you guys are trying to do. I'm an outspoken person, but if you came and talked to me, I would talk to you, educate you, however you want to look at it, about these things and about the differences. And that simply has not been done at this time for myself, my husband, our sons, and I doubt Lonnie. That's all I have to say.
I did have a very pleasant visit a couple of times with Lonnie. She reached out to me and we had a chat, and I gave her the commitment that anything we do pertaining to this subject would be publicly well publicized, Exhibit A, and you know, that she would certainly be apprised of any developments in the future as to what will go on here. I did not know you had this kind of background and this expertise in this area, so it's nice to know that now, and that's certainly one of the benefits of a public hearing. You get to know people's perspectives a little better, so I do appreciate that. Councilor Medlock?
I just wanted to comment why I haven't come to the businesses. To the merits of the bylaw is what we're supposed to be debating, right? So I get information that we're given from other organizations, like I've been reading this report from the Federation of Municipalities that kind of outlines what topics are covered in the federal jurisdiction, the provincial jurisdiction, and the municipal jurisdictions. And that's what I think we're really interested in here is what are the kind of things that we are allowed to do or will have to do based on what the province tells us we have to do. So, like we weren't debating the merits of the benefits or not. So I didn't think coming to one of the stores like that was fine. To me, whoever ends up being able to open up a dispensary or retailer, whatever the new word's going to be, I'm comfortable with that. I just care about what our regulations are, and that's why I
Absolutely,
don't know if I see anything.
Lonnie and ourselves would have more knowledge in that, probably, I would say.
Well, the government side of things, there's a lot of good information already available that I've...
For sure there is. Some provinces do certain things, other provinces are not.
Yeah.
Where we have the full knowledge of. Just because of our line of business, we have looked into it and what each province is caring to do and choosing to do. we could maybe inform you in some ways. I think that there should be a blending of minds, that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Thank you very much, and so we keep it semi-organized here, let's make sure that when someone speaks here at the mic, and then everyone is heard, because not everyone has great hearing, so we can use the mics to help out here.
Once again, Hannah Renier. I'm just gonna say, I hear everybody wanting this to happen, and I'm with you guys. However, having the background that I have, there's a lot of science, there's different strains that do activate different parts of the brain and create different sensations. So, you know, I've seen people be so against it, but now that they think there's some numbers involved, they're all racing for it. We gotta remember that marijuana came this far because of medication. It's a medicine. So I want to kind of separate the recreational from the medicinal. And once again, I want to make sure that when I consume something, that I know exactly what it is, because this is what my doctor has prescribed, and it took many years to get to this point. I don't just want somebody who maybe hasn't even, I just want a knowledge person that's got some science background. The wheel is already in place. You know, there's strain print that can tell you, you know, what medicine to try first. But once again, you know, there's a big difference between the recreational and the medicinal. So I'd like to just make sure that whatever product does end up in our community, it has been approved. So if there's ever some sort of something going down later on as we're all learning these new things, it's traced back. So that's just my thoughts. Thanks.
I just wanted to kind of emphasize what Councillor Medlock was, I think, trying possibly to get at earlier. Putting a bylaw in place prior to October 17th is not an issue. The word prohibit is the issue. We are prohibiting a substance that we know is legal as of October 17th in Canada. That is the problem, or the stumbling block, that I've heard from my customers, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of customers over the last couple of months. And as I presented earlier, why not, instead of putting a bylaw in place that is a prohibition and a clear forbidding, even if it's just for a short period of time, instead of doing that and creating this repeal process that on paper looks like it's pretty fast, but in reality it's not really fast when you're trying to do renovations and you're trying to get a dispensary license from the province, and you're trying to make sure that you have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted. Is one more thing that I have to do. And I'm asking council, mayor and council, to consider that once October 17th comes and once the city is able to put bylaws in place, let's not create this one more roadblock for business owners to have to repeal this process. Instead, if you feel it necessary to have a bylaw in place to ensure that business licenses are not issued, so that the staff at the district has a direction and they know that they're not going to be issuing any business licenses or considering any business licenses until these bylaws are in place, until mayor and council have the time, the effort, the energy, the people that they've talked to, you know, our lovely gentleman from Victoria possibly, you know, they've had the opportunity to go around and ask all the questions and be 100% sure. Let's not make it even more difficult. This is just the prohibit part is the stumbling block. Let's get rid of the prohibit. If we have to go to the third reading and amend the second motion, let's do that. And let's put a bylaw in place that will allow mayor and council the time to do what needs to be done so the community is safe, so the community is protected legally. But let's not create more stumbling blocks for businesses, because that is what irritates the community. We're saying we don't want that. The community is saying Do not prohibit something that's already going to be legal in a few months. By doing that, you are taking our confidence away from our mayor and council. We are asking mayor and council to show us that we can trust that you're hearing what we're saying. So I understand why the bylaw, why it might be important to have something like this in place, but prohibiting and creating the repeal process is unnecessary. We can do it differently. We can do it in a manner in which a business will not have to repeal, and therefore will not have to waste more time after October, whether it's November, December, January, or August next year, once the bylaws are done. When the bylaws are done is not the issue. For me personally, it's now after the bylaws, after the provincial government releases everything, we know what direction we're moving, now we can move forward, except we have to repeal. Except we have to have 2 motions, a public hearing, and a 3rd reading, and a vote, okay? It's not that simple. It sounds simple, but it's really not. It takes some time. So I'm asking, once again, that we don't go that direction. Thank you.
And just to add a little perspective on that as well, there's been a lot of calls to myself and council as well about people that are saying, it's good you're doing this right, so you do it once and you do it the right way. That it's not a Wild West free-for-all, and then the province comes forward with. So I've had a couple dozen calls from people that say, it's maybe not a pleasant thing to do because some people are going to be irritated by this, but it is the right thing to do. So there are a lot of folks out there that feel that this is the right thing to do as well.
I don't want to be glib or anything, but have you got a name for all those people that called you?
Well, the bottom line is when people phone me in confidence, I don't,
But they're not here.
We have to produce.
In regards to the personal conversation, so in regards to the personal conversation, technically, if they're not here, they have a written letter. Do they honestly count? Is it just your own personal satisfaction? If people, as Lonnie said, just let's do it right. Scott, you got the idea. You got, let's just do it right. Don't hold back. I understand what you're saying. But really, the people that show up, that are going to continue to show up, from here forward, let's listen to the people that are active. Not just social media superstars. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I'm glad you brought up the social media superstars because that gets a little crazy if you do.
Very much so.
Yeah, so that's not a factor in this decision. Okay. I think this is probably beyond the 3rd and final call, so. Oh. Last minute entry, here we go.
Elaine Lawton, 580 Douglas Street. And I apologize in advance that I have to be vague because of rules that I am governed with by where I work, which for those of you who do not know, I work for Canada Post. And I have been there 36 years. And because it has been mentioned here, we do have a facility in town, Canada Farms, and they do ship through mail. So I have a fair bit of knowledge, I consider, with the growth that they have seen. I mean, they started with their one building, they expanded again. And with that, the volumes that we transport. And it was not something that Canada Post entered into lightly, and I am not speaking on behalf of Canada Post at this point, that Ottawa was involved, management was involved, union was involved, corporate security was involved. What is the risk to our people that are carrying it? So a lot of it was considered. And when I think back to what Lonnie said at the meeting at Town Council when you had your first and second reading of tourism dollars,
I think I can confidently say there's a fair amount of money in the marijuana business. And not that I would want us to see Hope become the marijuana capital of BC, you know, but if it could bring tourists in and bring business in, I'm all for it. So that's my 2 cents.
I particularly like your point, Ms. Lawton, about how Canada Post considered a lot of factors in making the decision to distribute marijuana through the mail. There was a lot of thought that went into it. It wasn't a couple people were in favor, let's go for it. It was a well thought out process, so that's something that council has to keep in mind. Okay. Sir?
One last issue. I don't want to argue, but who gave you guys a license? And the gentleman here that smells the marijuana from the grow-op, who gave them a license?
The government.
The government. In
But they leave.
consultation with.
But they leave our town council to
Okay,
regulate.
let me answer that one.
Okay.
If you can shut your mic off for a second. Okay, we're currently in a little interesting dialogue with the federal government because there's quite a number of large legal grow-ops which the district has no knowledge of and the police actually haven't been notified of either. And that's a federal government cluster. Because obviously there's a lot of issues that pop out of large grow-ups. Because you can take a medical license, personal license, and then go for additional medical license, bona-fide medical license recipients.
But
So
Canada
we did
Farms
not,
doesn't we did not authorize.
district? What's that? Sorry. We did not authorize private co-ops that are in the community. The Canada Farms, of course, is a commercial operation.
Right.
That presumably pays federal taxes, so on and so forth, for medical grow-op purposes.
But what about municipal taxes? Do they pay municipal taxes?
Yeah, they're an agricultural land, they pay.
So you knew about it?
Yeah, we've never debated that. There's never been a debate about that.
No. My concern is that you never got on the horse to ride that sucker to the benefits of the district of Hope.
How would we have done that?
You could have pursued this kind of wording a lot sooner. We'd have had this meeting months ago, could have changed the wording and started businesses up like Lonnie's right now.
Can't do it now. If I can just repeat what I said before, because obviously I have not been very clear tonight. That is for sure. The issue is that the province of British Columbia is going to come forward with some very prescriptive legislation dealing with the distribution of marijuana. And that will be happening likely middle of October this year. So there's not a huge wait. So what we have to do as municipality, we have to follow the regulations of the province. We do not have the legal resources to kind of do our own thing because a few
Why does
folks,
Vancouver have that?
they're turning a blind eye to something that's illegal. They've had marijuana shops there for years.
Exactly.
Yeah. We are not in a position where we endorse illegal activity. That's just not something we have the legal resources for. That's not something we're, and the other thing that Vancouver did, which probably would not be very pleasing to some of the medium-sized business in this community, they had some very, very high business license fees in the tens of thousands of dollars. So it's probably not something that would facilitate the encouragement of local business growth, because some of the business license fees were pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, but that's different. Vancouver is a different.
Well, if you bring up Vancouver, we talk about Vancouver.
Only as far as the business, them giving licenses to these businesses, because they're business oriented. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's grow the businesses. That way we'll get better tax for the town. People will move in because we need workers.
Well, the businesses that have spoken tonight, they're already paying taxes in our community.
Yeah, they
through,
want
through
to
a lease.
open up other businesses and pay more taxes. Isn't that wonderful? Why are we hindering that? With the slow motion of, we gotta study this. We gotta study it.
You don't have to study, we just have to do it legally. Big difference.
Do it right.
Can't change your mind, I know that. It's okay, but
Well, I'm just saying we have, there's a rule we have to follow, and if it's illegal, you can't do it. And if the province of British Columbia has not come through with their guidelines yet, it would be foolhardy, it would be in poor form to say to all of you as taxpayers of the community, we're just gonna neglect what the province suggests and what they mandate. We're gonna play Russian roulette with your tax dollars, because if we do this
is that what
wrong.
Victoria did?
Pardon?
Or did they talk to the government and say, what
Okay.
kind of guidelines?
One at
should
a
we
time
follow?
here. Can I finish what I'm saying, please? Would that be
Sorry.
possible?
No, you're right.
Thank you. So, the point here is, we respect your money and our money, because we're all taxpayers in this community, either through triple net lease or, property taxes directly. We respect your money enough to say, we're gonna do this right, because if we don't, it's gonna be a legal Pandora's box, and it's gonna cost everyone a fortune. That's the bottom line. It's really very uncomplicated from my perspective as to, there's a very short wait, October's coming quickly, and then we'll know what the province expects of us. And I'm sure they're going to do something that's common sense, because there's enough people paying attention to this law, that if they do something that's too crazy, everyone's going to hold them to account. So they're probably going to want to do this right. That's my expectation.
But you gotta understand where we're coming from, because of the wording in that, was just raise your back. Okay? You folks have decided that the town will vote, the district will vote, doesn't mean dispensary.
Okay, you made your point about the wording. I appreciate your point.
So you agree that it's poor word?
I agree that some people don't like it.
Just seems sneaky.
Okay, I'm finished.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And if you would like to grab the mic, and then maybe after the next speaker, we can call her.
I think everybody agrees here that it makes us distrust you, because it seemed very sneaky the way it was.
There's nothing sneaky about this. This is as public can get it. There is no secret agenda here. There's nothing hidden. There's nothing that's more public than this. The public hearing advertised in the paper multiple times, televised thanks to our good friends at the ratepayers, and the lengthy public hearing here tonight. There's no reason for mistrust. There's no reason for the conspiracy theory, because it's all public. Ma'am?
So on the error of judgment, I just want to say, council is correct. For any of us to sell medicinal at this time, recreational, anything else, is completely illegal. That's why we haven't stepped into the ban. It cannot be done until after October 17th. It cannot be done legally. Do what you have to do what's right for you, that's what we tell our customers, but for us, for legal retail businesses, we jeopardize everything that we're about, our business license, our ethics, we put all of that in jeopardy if we were to sell it now. Or for council to say, go ahead and open up, they just simply can't. There needs to be give and take and open mind on both sides. I do believe that this is a very public forum. I feel that it's a nice, comfortable place that we can all speak our minds and say what's on our minds without holding back, without prejudice. I think that everybody has been very eloquent at the speaking. I think council has as well and said their side of it. There are certain rules and legalities that we all have to uphold if we want to be upstanding citizens. If you don't, the choice is clear. Go do what's right for you, do what you gotta do, but don't involve us. Don't involve my business. Don't involve Lonnie's business. It just can't be done now. Do I feel like the wording needs to be changed? Absolutely, completely. 100%. It's literally one word that needs to be changed. Shouldn't be a bunch of details, shouldn't have to drag on for 8-10 months. It can be done very quickly. That's what I'm here for, that's what I care about, that's what I'm pertaining to. But as far as when council's saying to us that they can't do anything, their hands are tied, they're absolutely 1000% correct. And I just want to speak on their behalf, because maybe some of you are not clear what all the details and laws entail.
Thank you very much.
You were saying saying the provincial government's gonna come down with a decision when?
Presumably the middle of October.
Okay, then what are we wasting our time here for now until that decision is made? Like, it's a total waste of time.
It is.
Because they will override everything that could be done here or would be done until that decision is made.
No. If someone came to us with a business license request and we don't have this in here, then we're in a legal hotspot. If we're very clear about our intentions, until we know what the province expects, very uncomplicated. So we're just reducing complexity here. We're making very clear where we stand. We're making very clear that we need more information from the province before we put regulations in place. It's very uncomplicated that way.
I think it would have probably uncomplicated the situation if that could have been in the wording. If you would have put in the notice that said, hey, we're just kind of waiting a little bit, no business licenses are going to be issued until we have facts and our direction from the provincial
But the
government.
bylaws
I think it
are,
would have prevented all of
it's
that.
a valid point, and it would have been nice to kind of sugarcoat things a little bit and make it warm and fuzzy. But you know, make it a little more palatable. But reality is, bylaws are legal prescriptives. They're meant to be enforced. They're meant to be read with no confusion. So there's no like a might in there, or maybe, or.
I think this is confusing.
Why are you prohibiting something?
Okay, we're getting to a point now where public hearings are one person at a mic speaking to council. That's the process. So.
Well, whether you're selling fish hooks or dispensary type items, I mean, okay, it's gonna be done in a business area, in a business setting. That's okay with me, right? My issue is grow-ops in a residential area. That's what I'm opposed to. And I just want to make that clear with everybody here, so that I don't get tomatoes. I enjoy the people around me that do use, but I'm not a user, and I am allergic to it, and it does upset my home as far as my residence goes.
And Mr. Loughlin, I think then we'll wrap her up here, because we're getting kind of into reruns, I think.
Sure, it'll be the last one.
Yeah.
One more. Just have to clarify, you've alluded a couple of times to legal responsibilities, liabilities, cost to the District of Hope. What would that be like? What would that physically be if you granted a couple licenses? Costly to counteract, to take away?
Well, if you grant a business license to someone, you have to have legal grounds to remove it. So you have to have conditions of that business license. So if someone moves to our community, and present company not included in this, if someone is operating a dispensary in a non-reputable fashion, and as a district, we have to pursue that person or person's business, what have you, to shut them down. We have to have the legal tools to do that, so that other people that are running a reputable business.
I'm confused. If they don't have a license in the first place, if they're already having to.
No, what I'm saying is the reason the prohibition is in here temporarily is so that everyone knows they're not getting a business license for a marijuana dispensary, period, until we know from the province. It's really that simple. So that when the province outlines exactly what it's expecting from municipalities, and this is not going to be a Hope-specific regulation from the province. We're not that important. It's going to be specific to all municipalities and regional districts within the province of BC. So once we get that information, then we can be really smart about how we do it. We can do it once and do it right, and make sure that anyone in the community that has an interest in starting a dispensary can do so in a proper fashion. And whatever regulations are put in place, everyone's, you know, essentially singing from the same song sheet. So it's, you know, maybe the word is offensive, but there's a real purpose to it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yes.
Cindy Executive, Silver Cove Road.
Okay, I think you have to press the button again.
There we go. Cindy Executive, Silver Cove Road, Silver Creek. I'm curious about something. Why do we need this bylaw? Would a resolution not be a more practical approach?
from a legal point of view, this is a necessity. If we
The bylaw is a necessity.
I'll get a staff perspective on that, so you hear from them exactly where the legal views. Mr. Korlowski?
There already is a council resolution, so
Yes.
the amendment of this bylaw, of the zoning bylaw, or this proposed bylaw, then executes that resolution within the zoning bylaw itself. So it puts it into operation from a legal point of view.
Okay, so the resolution that you're speaking of, is that the one that was passed in February of 2017?
Yes.
Okay, and that is most specific to the sale of marijuana accessory items, correct?
It includes marijuana, as my memory.
Okay, would it not be possible to amend that resolution or pass another resolution incorporating that resolution, specifying that immediately following the province's release of community or city requirements, the District of Hope will immediately undertake writing our required bylaws to suit those requirements? Would that be a possibility? Or was it predetermined prior to coming out this evening that this bylaw was going to be put in place and passed?
Okay, if you could shed your light on for a second. Thanks. Yeah, obviously the purpose of a public hearing is to maintain an open mind, seek out public input, because obviously as council, we know a few things, but we don't know it all, that's for sure. So public input is very important. I think council's been very clear in dealing with this issue, though, that when the province comes out with its new regulations, then we will be revisiting this issue to make sure how Hope can fit into the picture. So that is a commitment that I think everyone is sticking to. And the bottom line is, I think the decision that the path we've taken so far is a wise one, and it keeps the public safe from a lot of unnecessary expenses that might pop up.
But you didn't quite answer my question. Is a resolution not another more effective means where we wouldn't have to amend a bylaw? And as other individuals here have stated, it takes some time to amend a bylaw. Now, I'm a business owner. I'm big on business here in Hope. I want to see more of it. I think we have room for both medicinal dispensaries and recreational shops. And putting roadblocks in front of businesses that may be opening up, and I respect what you say about unsavory characters wanting to open up, but a resolution would take care of that. And it wouldn't have the same length of time frame to amend, correct?
Just a quick point there, a resolution does not have the same teeth, as it were, from a legal perspective.
So
but what we could do as a council, just under the subject of brainstorming, we could certainly pass a resolution that as a council, when the province tables its final legislation pertaining to the marijuana distribution, that we will revisit the issue at that point. I think that is in very good taste. It does not essentially rival or argue or do anything to the bylaw that's in place, but I think it's very respectful of everyone here tonight that comes and resolve from the province as to what they expect of us, that we would review our issue here, and that we would take a second look at this based on the provincial rulings.
okay.
But I don't think necessarily taking this bylaw completely out of the loop would make any sense at this point. Anyways.
I do have one final question.
I think, can we make it quick?
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
question. Assuming, whether it's this bylaw wording or an amended bylaw wording, what happens when the provincial government releases its requirements for the municipalities, and therefore bylaws are put in place by mayor and council to ensure that everything is done the way it needs to be done for businesses to operate in our community. What happens at that point? Does it require business owners such as me then to come back and repeal the process? Or is mayor and council going to be gracious enough to start the process so I don't have to?
Well, I would think the point here would be that he would have to look at it as a council and administration again. I don't necessarily think it's triggered by one business owner, because no disrespect to you, but the good folks at the vapor shop have an equal, they deserve an equal shot at any future opportunities, if there are any, to bid on, you know, a dispensary, so, or to get a business license for it. So it's not a case of, you know, I mean, I totally appreciate the amount of time you spent in our community. You run a great business, but this is definitely not going to be only targeted at, you know, helping Lonnie out. This is going to be at.
That's not what I'm asking. Let me restate. Once the provincial government releases its guidelines, Hope adopts its bylaws, writes their bylaws so dispensaries can operate, whether recreational or medicinal or both. Does it require a business owner such as myself, such as the people who own the vapor shop, or anybody else that's going to come to town potentially and open or want to ask for a business license? Do we have to repeal the process, or is mayor and council going to do that for us?
Valid point. I think the commitment I would make to everyone here tonight is, before any large decisions on this subject are to be undertaken, we would consult the public extensively, because there is, I think if you want this room packed, you say we're going to allow marijuana dispensaries in our community, and then everyone will have feedback on what they feel is appropriate and inappropriate. There'll be a lot more feedback on the concept of saying we're good to go for dispensaries. What do you think? There'll be a lot of feedback.
If it is allowed to do a referendum,
I think the question you're asking is who initiates the process of the repeal of the bylaw. That would be, council brings it up again, I guess. I mean, if you wanted it repealed, you could certainly talk to a council, they could bring it forth at a meeting, but it's not done by our residents. I mean, it's a council action. Does that answer the question?
And we're pretty accessible, so easy to find. So, anyways, I think we'll bid everyone a good night. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate you coming out. We have a lot of other things to do tonight.